Hello everyone, this is a follow-up video on the topic called coins and coinization, which we have already discussed in the previous class. Coins is a term which has been derived from Greek, and Greek, as you know, is an Indo-European language from the Indo-European language family. The language was represented in many dialects, and those dialects were attested from around the 14th century BC. So it's a very old language belonging to this IE language family. The Greek branch of the language family consisted just only one language, that is Greek itself. So this is a branch and a language itself out of the IE language family. The earliest evidence of the language was found in the inscriptions discovered as Knossos and other centers in Crete, written mainly on clay tablets in a syllabic script, which was discovered to be Greek only as recently as 1952. The period of Greek language is referred to as Mycenaean Greek, to be distinguished from the later, that is Classical Greek. And Classical Greek dated from the 8th century BC, when text came to be written in Greek alphabet, notably in Iliad and Odyssey, as you are aware of these two works of very high literary value. So Classical Greek only developed the Greek alphabet in 8th century BC. So Mycenaean Greek was written in a different script, which was a syllabic script, which resulted in clay tablet formations, and those were the preservation in the form of inscriptions, but they were discovered very late, as late as 1952. But Classical Greek, as we know, is the oldest form, but that is not the oldest, because Mycenaean Greek was older than Classical Greek. Now this term, the great period of classical drama, history, philosophy and poetry of Greek, lasted from 4 centuries and ended in 4th century BC. A later variety of Greek known as Koine Greek or Common Greek. So please pay attention to this term, Koine Greek or Common Greek. That means Koine stands something related to common. It was spoken throughout the Eastern Mediterranean from around 4th century BC for nearly 1000 years. This was the language of the New Testament as well. The modern varieties of Greek spoken in Greece, Cyprus, Turkey and the US and other localities derive from this Koine Greek. So Koine Greek is a later development of Greek which is newer than the Classical Greek. So if you see the timeline, then Mycenaean Greek is the oldest form of Greek coming out of the Indo-European language family. Then we have the Classical Greek, during which the Greek alphabet was developed, and then we have the Koine Greek, so which is kind of a dialect or kind of a variety of Greek, out of which other languages related to Greek have derived, or other varieties of Greek or local varieties of Greek have derived. As the spoken Koine Greek increasingly diverges from the literary standard, we also find the first argument about the undesirable nature of linguistic change. So when Koine Greek or Common Greek had some kind of differences from the standard variety of Greek, people did not desire those changes. They thought that this is a contamination or the dilution of the actual Greek grammatical standards or literary standards. So this actually resulted in some kind of non-prestige variation or variety which got associated with the Common Greek known as Koine Greek. Now at this moment, let us have a look at what is a pidgin and what is a creole. Pidgin is a system of communication which has grown up among people who do not share a common language but who want to talk to each other for reasons like trade, marriage, migration, etc. Pidgins have limited vocabulary and reduced grammatical structure. Creoles, on the other hand, emerge as a result of contact between people who speak different languages. A Creole is a pidgin language which has become or adopted as a mother tongue of a community speakers or the younger generation of that community who have already been speaking a pidgin for some time now. Pidgins and Creoles are therefore two different stages of a single process of linguistic development. So if you see the timeline, Pidgin appears first, and then that pidgin, if adopted as a mother tongue or native language by a younger generation, then it becomes a Creole, and the process is creolization. So the formation of pidgin is pidginization, and adoption of pidgin as a Creole is a creolization process. Now coming back to coins and coinization, how coins are developed or formed. Coins emerge due to contact between people who speak different dialects, unlike pidgins where people speak different languages and then pidgins developed. In this case, coins emerge due to contact between people who speak different dialects. This is a very important and crucial point to remember. Coinization as a process involves linguistic changes resulting in a new coin, or dialectal changes in this, for that matter, is more accurately placed. A new coin typically has some features from each of the contributing dialects, with most features typically coming from the dialect of the largest group of speakers. An example is listed in your textbooks, page 212. Please have a look at the example for better understanding. Now, during the formation of coins, there is a process called simplification which is involved. Now, what is simplification? The linguistic process involved in the formation of coins often undergoes simplification of different features or categories. Where two groups of speakers from different dialect areas come together, the simpler form will usually win out. Why? Because human beings, as expected, are very lazy, so they want and they like the simpler form of a particular language or linguistic communication system. It often reduces variation and also omit the marked structure from a linguistic category. An example is listed in the third paragraph in your textbooks, page 212. Please have a look at that for some clarification. An example I give you here, let's assume a system or a situation where dialect 1 uses singular plural distinction for nouns. For example, let's say singular has a different suffix to indicate that this is a singular noun, and plural form of the same noun has a different suffix to indicate that this is the plural form. On the other hand, dialect 2 in the situation does not have any such distinction. That means both singular and plural are shown or expressed through the same word. Okay. In that case, if those two dialects come into contact with each other, then which one is complex? Dialect 1 is complex, right? Because it has two distinctions. Whereas dialect 2 is simple because it doesn't have a distinction. So in that situation, dialect 1 assumes the characteristic like dialect 2, which is simpler. Let's have a look at how it can actually appear in a real situation. Let us see this kind of a variation between dialect 1 and 2, where you can see the word for hair in dialect 1 is Sam and hairs is Samni. So it has two different variation, because for singular, that is hair, it does not have a suffix, but hairs on the other hand has a suffix. So Sam and Samni. So dialect 1 has two different variations of words to indicate singular and plural distinction. On the other hand, if you see the dialect 2, you can see that there are no such distinction, because both hair and hairs is indicated by the same word, that is Sam. Okay. If these dialects are to form a new coin, or because they have come into contact to each other for a long period, then the reduced structure will be adopted by dialect 2, omitting the singular plural distinction. So if this is a situation, dialect 1 plus dialect 2 is equal to the new coin, that is X. What is the situation which arises? That the new coin will adopt the feature of the dialect 2. So here will be shown or spoken as Sam. Here's will also be spoken as Sam. So the simpler form will be retained or adopted by the new coin. This is called leveling. This process is called leveling, that you need to remember and understand. So another factor which is associated with the formation of coins is prestige. In case of prestige, as you know, it's a social behavior. So in case of formation of coins, social factors are also relevant. People tend to often accommodate to the speech of the others if they like, respect, or admire them. If dialect 1 is associated with higher prestige, then speakers of the new coin would try to adopt the singular plural distinction and retain the marked structural forms. As we have already seen in the previous slide, that if a coin has to be formed, it generally adopts the simpler form. But so is not the case with all the languages and all the dialects, because if a certain variety is associated with higher social prestige, then that dialect will be adopted, or that those forms spoken within that dialect will be adopted. Socialistic betas formed, on the other hand, tend to disappear in communities where status and education are valued. This is another very important factor which is socially rooted. On the other hand, conservative forms tend to disappear in areas where being hip, fashionable, and innovative is valued. These two statements are from your textbook. Then how the new type of coin looks like or sound like. This is identified as an immigrant coin, which result from the mixing of linguistic features among multi-ethnic groups in big cities. So why and how coins are developed? So one important and one very significant area of coin studies is that there is a emergence of immigrant coin. Immigrant means people coming from different places and melting together, merging together, and co-inhabiting with each other, and they form a different linguistic pattern. Okay, so in big cities where multi-ethnic groups, like people belonging to various ethnic groups, linguistic group, dialectal group, cultural groups, they come together and form a very different cosmopolitan situation. The speech of young migrants or the children of migrants provide the crucible for varieties that have been labeled as multi-ethnolex. In these varieties, the majority language may serve initially as a lingua franca, but the new multi-ethnolect often develops very distinctive features as a result of the many different languages and dialects which different speakers bring to its construction. A very interesting example is listed in page 213. You can have a look at your textbook.